Joonmo Son is Associate Professor in Sociology, and his major research interests are social capital, volunteerism, and health. And in fact, he's recently completed a book manuscript on social capital, which is going to come out in the Key Concepts series with Polity Press. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks for coming to this session. And this will not be a kind of introduction of a specific study, but I will just tell you about the general research framework that I have. I have several research interests, but social capital is the kingpin to me. And nowadays I'm struggling with this idea that how to contextualize the theory of social capital and the empirical studies of social capital in Asia. So I should not assume that all the participants in this workshop know social capital. So this is brief introduction of social capital. It has been defined in various ways. For instance, I just picked up three key theorists. Robert Putnam, he defines social capital as social networks, norms of reciprocity, and trustworthiness. So it's a kind of compositional view of social capital, three things together. And Fukuyama, for him, social capital is just one, trust. So for instance, he defines social capital as an instantiated informal norm that somehow promotes cooperation. So it's about something that makes people work together. Okay, so that's social capital for him. For Nan Lin, it's at the microscopic individual level. So it's related to networks. So resources embedded in social networks, whatever kind of resources, like emotional or instrumental or whatever, so that you could somehow utilize the resources from other persons when you need them, then it's social capital. So diverse definitions are there, and it also produces various outcomes. Like at the individual level, it could be status attainment. For instance, after college, can you get a job faster than the other, or can you get promotions at your job, or what? Higher incomes or earnings, kind of things. And health, mental and physical, and well-being included there. And then at the collective level, it can go for some big things like economic development, for instance. Which kind of countries are more affluent than the others? And is it that they have better or more social capital than the other? Okay. How about then democracy? Okay. And then civil society and civic engagement kind of things. So these big questions are actually asked by the causes of the so including the cause of the social capital. These questions are asked. However, the research lacks something important. For instance, as the first presenter said, social capital has been mainly formulated by the Western scholars, so that we don't know actually what happens to social capital in other parts of the world. And then general pattern is that whatever findings from the United States or Western European countries, they are taken as a kind of standard to be applied to other parts of the world. And then somehow we find some really funny things when you apply those kind of frameworks to other parts of the world, because they do not work. And then theoretical confusion. As you saw, the social capital has various definitions, so that when somebody says social capital, you should be asking them, what kind of social capital are you talking about? Because person by person, the definition varies. So that's the limitation. So it has fuzzy conceptualization, so that in the end, the question becomes, what is social capital and what is not? So some said social capital is trust, and others say trust is not social capital. All right? So there's many questions related to this one. So the current pattern, sadly, is this. Anything social, anything related to trust is treated to measure social capital. So see some studies if you're interested. Then you will see some pathetic status in the literature. So general social, to me, let me say this before coming before going to the next slide. Social capital should have some specific delimitation in terms of its definition. So anything social or anything related to trust shouldn't be social capital. Okay? So that's my position. So how to overcome such weaknesses. So comparative studies, for instance. So if you have some tight anchoring of your research framework in a location, then probably you may have some tangible and concrete findings, and probably in the end you may define social capital in your own way. So for instance, the causes and consequences of social capital in Asia may differ from those in America and Europe. And for instance, in Yang Dian, he found that it's actually strong ties, not weak ties, that matter for networking people in China. So that's called the strength of the strong ties, opposed to the idea of strength of weak ties. Mark Granovetter actually invented that idea. However, it didn't work in China, so that NGPN actually produced this idea. And example 2, social capital produces civic engagement in the United States. However, it may not be. It may not do so in other parts of the world. So you cannot just generally assume that what happened in the Western countries would be applicable to Asia, for instance. And then analytic typology may be necessary. For instance, in my study, I tried to apply the typology between individual social capital and collective social capital. So individual social capital, it's based on interpersonal networks, and collective social capital, it's based on collective networks or organizational networks through the volunteer associations. And then there should be refining process of the measurement. So for instance, individual social capital, it's better actually. It has its own measurement tool, like a name generator, position generator, or resource generator. However, organizational social capital or the collective social capital doesn't have any kind of specific measurement. So pathetically, we use the really handy and convenient tool or convenient measure of collective social capital by taking the count of the memberships people have in volunteer associations, and we call it collective social capital or social capital, but that shouldn't be. So there should be some specific way of measuring collective social capital as well. And then in the end, I want to delimit the social capital concept. So networks themselves, for instance, they are not social capital per se. Networks are actually structure that could hold social resources in them. And then you can utilize those resources for some purposive actions. Then those resources are social capital, not the networks themselves. Likewise, trust and norms of reciprocity, they are psychological features or institutional features, not social capital per se. So there should be some delimitation. So in conclusion, what I will do and what I have done is that comparative studies centered in Asia, because they may shed some new light on the concept of social capital and its empirical studies. And then there should be analytic refinement in terms of the typology of social capital and its measurement, because without them, the literature cannot proceed or advance further. And then delimitation of social capital concept can clarify what the real causes and consequences of it. And then I'm mainly interested in how and if social or individual and collective social capital produces public goods rather than private goods. For instance, civic engagement or volunteerism. Wouldn't it be interesting? For instance, when you have something resourceful in your hand, and if you use that not for your own good, but for the community or collective goods, okay? Then that's a kind of intriguing part for me as a sociologist. Okay? So you use your resources for the some good purposes, not for your individual motivations. So that's the part that I'm interested in. So these are the things that I'm doing, and using this opportunity, I should say that one of the key theorists, Nan Lin, will be invited by me. So At the end of this year, in other words, late part of the December, there will be a small workshop having Manlin and a few other key scholars of the social capital. So if you're interested, please let me know. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Questions, please?
Oh, thank you. Okay. On your earlier slides, I think it's your second or the third slide, when you give us some examples, I mean the 1 and 2, how social capital might be different in the Asian context. I was actually wondering about the example 2. So you mentioned, okay, we cannot really generalize that social capital produces civic engagement in the United States to the Asian context, but on what basis actually do you have that kind of hypothesis? Why in Asia, social capital may not produce the civic engagement? That's one question I have for you.
Yep. Okay, thanks. So let me give you a kind of extreme example. If you go to China, of course you can have some memberships in organizations. So you count them. And then if you see whether these memberships are related to civic engagement, you may say that, oh, probably it should be. Why not? Because it's the memberships in the, some volunteer associations, right? And then memberships for them, they are actually mainly for doing something good for the community. That's the usual way of thinking. But you know what the problem happens when you factor in the institutional constraint that China has. You don't belong to those organizations willingly, but by being assigned to them. In other words, you didn't choose those memberships. The state or the party actually ordered you to be a member of a certain organization. You see, so these kind of things should be considered. So what I found from the previous study that I had was that, for instance, this is apart from the volunteerism or the doing something for the community. If you count the number of memberships, and if you run analysis having depression as the outcome variable, the more or the greater the number of memberships, the greater the depressive symptoms. You can understand why.
But is it only in China or some other Asian countries?
Probably not in other Asian countries in the same fashion. But I just gave the extreme example.
Are you looking at Asia? Do you
Can we have
select
mic?
them
Can we have the mic so people at the back can hear the
randomly,
question?
or it's more the one you access to data? I mean, how do you choose them?
The letter. This is another piece of information for you. There is a data depository named ISSP, probably some of you know, International Social Survey Program. It's a kind of constellation of the general social surveys of the US kind in many countries. And the recent version in 2017, it was about social capital. And then the first release was done, so probably now it has about 20 countries in. Okay? And then it will increase in a few years because they will add more data to that. For instance, Chinese data is not added on to that yet, however, it will be added on. So that why I am talking about this, because the data, that kind of secondary data, has the specific measurement of the social capital. And the Asian countries and Western European countries and other Latin American countries are actually there. So you can conduct some comparative studies, having the same tool of the measurement or the survey questionnaire. Actually, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed. Thank you.